Welcome back. It's still Entertainment TV live on Metro Television. It's the Table of Life, and today we have All Women Affair. And today's conversation is one that is very, very interesting. Women experience in showbiz, especially the music industry. I mean, if we check history, male dominates the space, and even though women try to do certain things to match up, there are so many barriers. However, recent times we see women moving forward to make sure that they also do what they have to do and thrive in the industry, but then there's still more to be done. And so today's conversation, we are looking at issues affecting female representation. We are looking at what women have to risk to be in this industry. Do women even understand the business aspect of this industry? And finally, we'll look at the stereotypes, women, sexuality, as well as the women marginalization and everything that has to do with women being in the showbiz industry. And my guest is, I think she did a second time for her, and it's none other than my very good friend, Christina Carmel. And she is a media personality and a music marketer. And another lady that I met, had a conversation with her on Morning Rush. She's a lot of things. She's an entrepreneur, she's a humanitarian, as well as an artist, and that is the Lassie. Good afternoon, ladies.
Hey.
Yes, it's a table full of ladies, and I'm super excited. How are you?
I'm fine.
Yeah, the Lassie is your first time here. No, on
Entertainment Review.
Yes. I hope you are doing good.
I'm doing very
okay.
well.
So we'll start the conversation with you, the Lassie. Like I stated, you are an entrepreneur, an artist, and also a humanitarian. Yes. Briefly tell us a bit about yourself. What got you into all that you are doing?
Yes. So I am a recording artist, a songwriter, and an instrumentalist. I've been doing music since I was very, very small. I started taking piano lessons at age 9 through 18. So almost 10 years I was classically trained in piano. I sang in my church choir and school chorus as an alto. So I have a lot of strong instrumentalist training in my background. I also played the cello. So I'm not just like a rapper or a singer, but I'm a true artist, in every sense of that word. And in university, I started doing music like professionally, making mixtapes and EPs and stuff like that. Yeah. And I got the attention of Pharrell Williams. Okay. And I was very close to being signed.
The Grammy producer.
Yes. That didn't work out, unfortunately. So after I graduated from university, I went back to my native New York City. I started working for BET Networks. And while I was working there, I was so close to musicians, just seeing artists all the time like Usher, Erykah Badu, Alicia Keys, all of these really big, accomplished artists, and maybe just want to go right back into the music. Okay. And that's what I did. So I started music again. I ended up doing a few tours around Europe and Canada and the States. And then in 2019, I moved to Ghana, like full-time.
Full-time?
So so I was born and raised in New York, but now I'm in Ghana. I'm a Ghanaian. My mom's Ewe, my dad's Ashanti, so true Ghanaian.
Oh,
yes, very controversial. Yes. But I'm 100% Ghanaian, and I'm very happy to be home. The only frustration I find is music, honestly, the music business, which we're going to tap into today. Yes.
But let me go back a bit. With your experience, meeting all these renowned people, especially the women, do they also face that in their part of the world, as in men dominating? What is the conversation when you meet them and they are talking? What do they say?
Yes. In general, there's a general feeling just in this industry globally, because globally, men really dominate this field. There are more men DJs, there are more men producers, there are more men managers and promoters, and
I think
every
women
sector.
dominate for the songwriting. That's the only thing women dominate. But that's even 1 out of 4.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. So by and large, men are the purveyors and the gatekeepers of this business globally. Yeah. So anywhere you go in the world, when you talk to a female musician, she will have grievances, because that's just how patriarchy and things like that are set up just in general. But more specifically, because I've had experience as an American artist and now an artist in Ghana, I can say with confidence that there's huge differences between the two. And although there's difficulty for women across the board, in a country like Ghana, who our music industry is not fully developed to the point of other places. For instance, artists here still don't get royalties. So whereas since the 60s and even before that, you know, everybody else in the world was making money when their songs are getting played, Ghanaian artists, even till up to this moment, still aren't getting that. So this isn't even a female or male thing. This is just an artist at an artist level. But then as a woman, you know, we have things like we have our hair and we have our nails and our makeup and ways that we have to be marketable for the music. So when people are thinking about investing in an artist, they're more reluctant to invest in us because they say to themselves, this comes with so much. If we have her on our label, we need to get her a makeup artist. We need to get her a stylist. We need to get her this and that. With a male artist, it seems a lot less intensive. It seems a little more simple. But see, for artists like me, I style myself. I do a lot of my own makeup and hair. So I don't really come with all of those extras. But they make the assumption because you're a woman. So that's just a simple kind of way that we kind of see the discrepancy.
Interesting.
Yes.
So Christina here studied psychology, but you found yourself in the media space, and she's worked with the Nigerians a lot, and I'm emphasizing on that because at the time that when she started, that those are the people that were closer to you. Like, you've been in their industry, you've been in ours and everything. Do you feel there's lack of knowledge, there's lack of experience that makes women vulnerable? What is it from your experience so far?
I think for women, I think the industry in itself, I think is very complicated. And I think it's this perception that, you know, males can make those heavier decisions. Males can be more vocal and more dominant. That is the perception, but it's very wrong. Because you'll be surprised as to how many women lead behind the scenes in people's teams. A lot of the heavy decisions are done by women, but they are not on the forefront. So it looks like it's all male heavy, but really actually it's not. I think the education in terms of women, there isn't too many female like business people in the music industry in Ghana though. It's rare and few. So I think with that, I think it's very male heavy here. As to why that is,
we can't tell.
I couldn't even be able to. But do you know what? To be honest, it's like you're not really missing much anyway.
Really?
We don't listen. If we start to talk about our industry, I think you're not missing much anyway. But I think as a whole, as an industry as a whole, I think it's very. You really have to have your wits about you as a woman. And like you said, yes, there is a sense of having to know more, be more educated, be 10 toes, be on it. Because when it comes a time as a woman to show and prove, you need to show and prove. Because the men will hold you at that kind of, okay, you're a woman, show me what you've got. And I had a meeting recently, and it was like, okay, you need to show and prove. And I was like, first of all, we're on equal, unless it's me, but we're on equal level fields. It's not male and female, it's not gender specific. But my thing is, as women, that's how they make you move. So I feel like the more powerful you are in knowledge anyway, you've just become a powerful being. So I don't necessarily think it's a bad thing, really.
But I mean, it's quite interesting, but because two of you are coming from different perspectives, you feel that a lot of the people, investors, would rather invest in a man than a woman. And then you are also saying that, you know, we can equally get the same chance, but it's as more or less not investing in ourselves or laying back, if I'm getting you right. Okay, so what really is it? Is it that, you know, women in today's era, especially here in Ghana, are not forcing so much, they are not giving their best, they are not investing in themselves? What really is the issue with women before we even come to those who are not yet wanting to
invest? Is that artists or professional women and
as an artist? Let's narrow it down to an artist, right?
Do you know what it is as well? Let me just say this. I think sometimes in Ghana too, we put a lot of emphasis on what the artists are not doing, right? But we also need to look at the professionals and what they're also not doing as a whole. Let me first say that, because I feel like, especially when you go on social media, there is a lot of slander for the artists. You're not doing this, your music is not translating, pressure. But there is also nonsense that goes on within the business of which sometimes I feel like can put an artist off from even creating in the first place. So let me just say that, first of all. And I think, you see, One thing I will say about the women in this industry, which I think a lot of women in this industry as artists are managed and run by male-dominated heavy teams. One thing I did notice when I first came is the oversexualization of women. Mm-hmm. It's annoying. Stop doing that, because what are you selling me? Vocals or assets? Mm-hmm. As in assets of body, mm-hmm. not assets of any kind of specific mm-hmm. packaging. Stop over-sexualizing the women. Because when you over-sexualize the women, that is all that pertains to sell here in Africa. I will say Africa.
Yeah.
And I realized that in Ghana too, kokonsa sells very much. Like, we love it. Entertainment, we love it. Anything to nitpick at people. So now, it's like you have an artist, a female artist, and I've seen it. I could call names, I'm not going to because I don't want to call it, but there's specific female artists where it's like her vocals are not good, but she's heavy chested, or she's got a big bum, or you can't even, we're not even focusing on the music again.
Right.
Teams need to stop doing that, and I think it's also an easy way out as well. I think it's like if you over-sexualize that individual, you sell them, mm-hmm. they make you make the money back, mm-hmm. and the cycle continues. So it's not really even about the music. Mm-hmm. I think that's one of the biggest things I've noticed.
In Ghana.
Yeah.
But you see, I agree with that in such a way that, when we are talking about sex sales, it's usually narrowed down to the women. Mm-hmm. So we say sex sales, but then you see a man fully covered in a video. He will not even leave his chest out. But then a woman will have to leave a bit of up there, down there, almost everything. Like, we see a lot of them in our music videos. And apart from that, when we are talking about sex, some time ago, we have seen people who have managed artists in this country who says that, look, if you want somebody to invest in you as a female artist, you should allow them to date you. It's not a big deal.
Yeah.
It's not wrong. According to them, it's not wrong for them to date you. What are your thoughts on this?
Okay, I'll get to that. I want to get back to your first question. I don't think it's an idea of women not investing in themselves.
Okay.
In order to do music at all, you have to invest in yourself. Mm-hmm. There is because in order to get the attention of executives and anybody at that level, you have to have some kind of foundation. Mm-hmm. You can't just go to a label and say, hey, I have no music, but I want to do music. Mm-hmm. Like, you have to have something. Yeah. And in order to have those things, there's a level of investment that must be put into that. Studio time costs money. Production costs money. If you need songwriting assistance, that costs money. If you need vocal lessons, that costs money. Like, all of these things cost money. Mm-hmm. It's odd because people behave as though artists just pluck things from the sky and they don't actually invest anything. But we invest a whole lot before we even get to the stage that we can approach a label or talk to executives and begin to have those conversations, or before anyone will even be willing to give us a meeting or a chance. Mm-hmm. So I don't think it's about artists not investing in themselves. I think quite the opposite. Is particularly in Africa and more specifically in Ghana, we don't have enough investment in music and the arts, period, at all. There's no kinds of government supplement programs like in other countries like Canada and Europe and the US, where there are programs like this to help push artists along. It's really expensive to have a music career, and most people that start music careers are not rich like a Davido. Most people aren't like that. They're just working class people like everybody else, and they're using the little extra money they have to invest in themselves. But you can't expect to just invest in yourself and become a Beyonce. Yeah. There has to be, at some point, there has to be some level of investment that's put into you so that you can reach the next stage. So I definitely don't think it's about, female artists not investing in themselves. Me being an artist that is very seasoned and I personally feel I have a lot of talent. Mm-hmm. That is not really at the forefront of a lot of the meetings that I've personally sat in. They're always trying to, we've touched upon, over-sexualize the artist. They say, oh, you have a really cool style, but you have a nice body. You need to show more of that. I've had those kind of discussions. And then it's stuff like also, what kind of drama can we create, or what other artists do you know that we could capture you outside with to make it maybe look like you're dating or stuff like that. I've been in this business for almost 10 years. I didn't work this hard to come to Ghana and do all of that BS to get on. When people in other places in the world know me for being somebody with a strong work ethic, who is very serious about their craft and who gives 100%. I did not put in all of that work for so many years to just come here and be, hugged up on King Promise to get, in. So I refuse to do stuff like this. But this is the reality, because I've sat in more than one label meeting where it boils down to that.
That conversation keeps coming coming up.
This is what we need to focus
Conversation.
on.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they're saying this is what the market is into. That's what they buy into. But if we start to change the narrative and we push more substantial music further, it will go further. The reason
I want to punch holes into what you are
Yeah,
saying.
yeah.
From the conversations that they talk, that you should allow those like the
Show
show
your
a
body.
bit of skin and stuff, and they're saying that is what people want. How can we change that in our part of the world? Is it possible in our part of the world? Can we say that let's listen to the vocals, let's look at the talent, and not necessarily she has to show skin or she has to be seen with this artist to be able to thrive? Can we thrive without that?
No.
I mean,
Christina said
right?
no.
I'm gonna say I'm sorry. I'm gonna say no, simply because for me personally, I work on the metrics of old school music. So I'm still in my era of Babyface, Whitney Houston, Mariah Carey. You know, the old school way of doing things where it was talent
Yes.
over anything else.
Vocals.
But that is old. We've moved, the industry as a whole has moved so past from that now, where it's not necessarily about talent because it's marketing, it's metrics, it's data, it's numbers. People need to be able to sell you quickly and capitalize off of you. We live in the industry has become so fast paced that the consumership is so small now that it's like once you put out a single, the consumer, it will consume for about a week, maybe a couple of days, but
Yeah.
onto the next single.
Yeah.
Now
Yeah.
we want an
Yeah.
album. Now we want an EP. So people are just flooding the
Doing
market.
things quick. So
Right.
that's the fault of the. It's not the fault of the artist, but the consumer
Right,
is
yeah, it's the
now
lab- yeah.
setting the tone for what artists should
Because
do.
it's a business. And I
Yeah.
always say to people, it's a business. And at the end of the day, unfortunately, artists just want to create. And because it is a business, businesses need workers,
Yeah.
you need cleaners, you need this.
Yeah.
So I think the issue is that now it's like labels, because they want the metrics, because it's all capitalism.
numbers,
Right,
yeah.
so they now put pressure on, they want that fast money and they want to know, okay, what can you do as an artist to make me that money now?
Yeah.
It's the frustration of many artists because a lot of artists just want to create and put out good music. But unfortunately, because of that and the consumership is so fast, sometimes, and you know, for some, you'll see some people, it comes easier to others to be able to sexualize yourself. As you can see, some artists, it comes so easy to
Yeah.
them that actually you might be wanting vocals and next thing you know, she's taking off, and it's like nobody even asked you.
Yeah.
Like relax, nobody asked you. But because it's embedded in the psyche
Yeah.
now,
Yeah.
because we've moved so fast
Yeah.
past all of
Yeah.
that.
So from what you're saying, come what may, women have to compromise for the masses. If we are talking about the numbers games and what the investor wants, it means women have to compromise in as much as we don't want to. So that's how, that's what it is now.
And we are not even looking for talent anyway.
Yes.
Maybe-
Is that a case?
Right.
Maybe I'm being idealistic when I say that, but I don't necessarily agree with that. I think two really good examples are Jackie and Amare. I think if they stayed in Ghana, right, they probably wouldn't have gotten very far. But both of them decided to venture out. They went to Nigeria, London, different places, and you see that they are skyrocketing now.
Okay.
And neither one of them had to take their clothes off, and neither one of them had to compromise their actual talent or their brand,
Their sound,
in order
yeah.
to be successful. Neither one of them had to do this. Both girls, Ghanaian, both started in this industry. So I think what's going to have to happen is we need many more women taking that route and thinking outside of the box, not restricting themselves to this industry alone. And when Ghanaians start to notice this trend, because it is starting to trend slowly but surely, but when they start to notice that, they're going to realize they have to make that change,
Yeah.
or else they're going to lose all of their
Yeah,
artists.
yeah.
you know?
We have to change. And do you agree to that?
I think, to be honest, there was a point in time where I think a lot of people did come for Amare because of how she was dressing.
Yeah.
And it was, again, but I definitely think that was a Ghana thing as well, because people were talking more so about her body shape and then the type of clothes that she was wearing, because she's very top heavy. But I do feel like, yes, a lot of women need to put their foot down when it comes to the complete over-sexualization of themselves, because I think it borders with your kind of moral compass as well, in terms of who you are as a woman and how you kind of want to be defined.
Yeah.
But I will say it's a long fight, because like the higher you get up in this industry, it goes male, 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 and then it goes white, white, white. And then if we start talking about religion, we don't want to mention, but you know, because those people, you mention them, they come heavy. Kanye knows, they come heavy for you. But I think it's it's a continuous conversation, like she said, and I think as women we need to kind of stand for it. But it is a fight that we will have to fight.
We will have to fight.
But then again, you see, we were mentioning Amare, who would, you know, expose a bit of body, but then at the end of the day, she more or less, you know, not really based in Ghana or doing music for the Ghanaian music industry specifically to say. Now, if you're saying that we have to more or less move out of here, or, you know, as an artist, you should be looking at other countries rather than Ghana as a female artist in order for you to thrive. This is Amare, who also exposed a bit of body before. So now, if you are here,
I thought she was a tomboy before,
right.
and much heavier.
Things
Like
have
she
changed.
lost weight.
Things have
yeah,
changed.
things
a bit.
have changed
So-
now.
But before that,
And
even
for her,
happened,
I love
though.
the way she dresses now.
Right.
I think it's a combination of both.
right?
Yeah.
So does it mean then we have to say that, you know, whether we like it or not, there should be, you know, a bit of both for a female artist to survive in the music industry? Is that
Yeah.
it?
I would say that because I personally wouldn't rely on this industry giving you anything
say
or
this
helping
This
you.
Ghana
industry,
industry.
Ghana
Do you know
Yes,
when she
this-
said it,
this
I was thinking the
Ghanaian
same thing. I was
industry,
like,
it's this particular country. I mean, it's so limiting here. I mean, I feel the difference, you know,
Yeah.
like being different places and doing music and coming here. It is so limiting. And I think a lot of the gatekeepers believe that the market is what is so limited, but it's like if you're not giving the market anything else,
Yeah.
they're just going to take
Yeah.
essentially what you're giving
Yeah.
them because you're not willing to take that risk. And I think different markets like South Africa, like Kenya, like Nigeria, they're willing to take those risks with their artists because everybody tells me, go to those countries, you'll do so well, you know, because you're not going to do well in Ghana because it's so like, you know, one-dimensional.
Right. What of someone who is unable to move out of Ghana to be able
don't-
to survive?
listen,
What are they going to do? Because sometimes, like you're saying, the gatekeepers, the managers, they will even one way or the other help you. So what will an artist, a young female artist, what will she do?
But the thing is, as an artist, if you're looking to stay in Ghana, you're already finished.
That's it.
Right.
Like as an
You are
artist,
fairly
you're
you're in advance.
You're already like as an artist. Period. Like forget male, female.
Yeah.
As an artist, if you are not thinking beyond your borders, you're already done.
Yeah.
Because you need to be able to think beyond your borders. You need to be able to capitalize off of every market. How do you diversify yourself? Because it's not that you're going to be doing high life or hip life. You need to be able to do amapiano. You need to be able to do Afrobeat. So you have to be able to like cross the borders. Now, listen, this Ghana music industry, if you're planning to stay, I don't know, there's only so much you're going to be able to do before eventually you're going to have to dip out and touch the pond. Because like we were saying, the resources and the mentality and the lack of wanting to obtain information, because I'm not going to say there isn't, is what is completely, people just don't want to access that information. And so we've got a lot of jigging and reshuffling of our industry to do anyway. So I feel like as a female artist, do what you can do. I think one thing about it is Ghana, Accra specifically, is very good for buzz, which is very good for marketing.
Yeah.
Use that to build your numbers, use that to build your metrics. But if you're looking to capitalize and monetize here,
Move outside.
going.
Here won't work.
it won't work.
won't
It
work.
really, really won't work. And this is, I think, what's happening with a lot of our artists now. They feel stuck because, again, too, this marketing buzz, metrics, data, numbers, you can obtain it here very quickly. Like, if you're very intentional, 6 months in Ghana, you could be everywhere. But then after that, what are we
what
doing?
else?
Yeah,
Yeah.
what are we
Yeah.
doing? And I think that's where a lot of artists are at the moment.
But if you check the system, like from your conversation, you've met people, and even in Ghana here, from like the whole royalty, the structures, and the whole conversation, can it get better? Will there be a time? I see Christina turning like this. But can there be a time where the creative space will sort of like sort things out? Do you believe that it can work like that? Because our fellow neighbors, when I say our fellow neighbors, you know, like the South Africans, the Nigerians, they have already taken off, and we need to structure certain things. And they didn't use overnight. They didn't use a day to get to where they have. Ghana, if we are to start now, can we get there?
I mean, I don't want to say no because that's so pessimistic, and you can't ever say never. You know, we're not
In other
mind
words,
readers,
it's a
we're
big
not
no.
psychics, so we don't know what the future holds. But I will say this: I've worked closely with some government officials, and I know the CCA, the creative sector of our government, is working on programs to subsidize these kind of things, to teach young people about intellectual property and teach them about royalty systems, and just putting more pressure on GAMRO and those other kind of affiliations that are supposed to help the artist and kind of educate the artist about the business, because that is so important. And I actually took the initiative to learn about the business very specifically and intentionally, but a lot of artists don't do that.
Yeah.
I mean, they just see the art. But I mean, it's definitely 50-50. And I think, they're coming up with programs and ideas in which to usher in these kinds of programming, which I think is promising. But do I think that it's going to change overnight? No, maybe in 10 years, but who has 10 years? I know I don't have 10 years. That's why I've been licensing and, working on the film side of things and TV in terms of my music placement, because I know like the money is there and it's something I could do remotely from Ghana. And I don't have the restrictions of this particular industry, because this particular industry is highly restrictive, highly. And there's a lot of also sexual exploitation and things like that as well.
But that
right.
How long have you been in Ghana for? Like 3 years now.
Yeah. I love it.
You've been in Ghana for 3 years, and I mean, we are friends on Snapchat, and sometimes I see the comments. We have conversations, and we know what we talk about. From your 3 years experience, from where the Lassie ended with, I seen like it can happen. You have been in the space. You move with these people. You've also worked with outsiders. Can it get better? And how fast can it get better?
If you're asking how fast.
Okay, but she said not how fast, right? But can it get better?
Can it get better? Can it get better? People are trying, you know.
Okay.
I think that the interesting thing is that it's interesting to me when I see outsiders come and bat for us, and we are not even batting for ourselves. There are people outside that will make more noise for our improvements than we will make. It every time. For me coming to Ghana, like, it was the Nigerians. I wouldn't be here. It was a Nigeria that forced, you need to come, you need to see. And a lot of people were talking on our behalf, but will never come and touch soil and on the motherland. So for me, it was just like, people outside are fighting for us.
But we are not for ourselves.
But we're also, they are themselves are getting blocked. When it gets higher up and it gets to those government conversations, things are happening, meetings are not happening, conversations are being started and not finished, emails are being, so it's like, and then they get frustrated. And then look at the situation with the same with the film industry. People from outside came, and I think this is where the issue is, because sometimes I feel like, do we really want the change that we pray for? Or is it easy to just complain? I feel like, for example, I look at Stonebwoy now and how he's in America, he's in the States, and he's going on these big platforms. But constantly, have you noticed how he has to keep explaining why Nigerians are... And I actually really feel bad.
Keeps coming back.
And it's going to keep on coming. Because the thing is, at the moment, he is one of the only few forefront Ghanaians being our advocate, until like now Sarkozy is also
but those are even male. Those
but,
are male.
But did you not see the
seem to
conversation
really
with what Efia had to come on about? But this is the thing though, because people are like, well, when Uncle Wiz comes to town, everybody is behind, but then when he's on main stage, you guys are not there. And the thing is, I think what also needs to be understood as well is that it's not, for me personally, when I hear things like that, it's not criticism to me. It's like, you have a main stage platform. We don't know what's happening. There is no, like we were saying, there's no leeways in Ghana. You have one leeway, one train is coming. Just
hop on.
Pride aside, I'm jumping on.
And
just for, if not for my country, for myself. You understand? And I think that's where sometimes I'm like, do we really understand that? Or is it everything combative? Is it anything for Twitter? Or do we really understand that you have one because it's the same thing with Shatta Wale and Beyonce. People were like, you had one train, you let the train go. You understand? Because that would have taken you, and not just you, but everybody else.
Yeah.
So now we want to talk about policy. Now we want to talk about legalization. We can have these conversations if our artists or our people, because not just artists, but professionals too, we need to be in the rooms.
Yeah.
But we're not in the rooms.
We are not in the
We're on
rooms.
Twitter shouting.
Helen, you wanted to ask?
Yeah, I mean, it's rather unfortunate, but I mean, I wanted to, hit on the sexual exploitation stuff. Will it ever even stop? I mean, not just in the music industry. The last time we had a comedian here, and I was asking why is it that we don't have a lot of women in the comedy sector, and he was saying that one of the reasons is that most women, when it comes to them trying to get in there, somehow those who are already there, who are men, obviously, would want to more or less have sexual exploitation, like exploit them sexually in some way or the other. And some of these reasons make them hold back. But then again, there are some that will just succumb to that. So what really is it? Can it ever stop? Can the mindset of men change? What can be done, really?
I mean, that's a global issue. It's not really particular to this industry or country or any particular country. This is something that plagues women everywhere, in many sectors, but particularly in entertainment. I don't really know. I don't really have an answer for that. I mean, they started the Me Too movement, and that was really,
So
really
if
focused on
you don't have an answer for that, is
film.
that we should live it that way? We shouldn't be bothered that this is what is happening to women.
No, that's
we
not
should
the
live
same
it that
thing.
way.
I'm not saying that at all.
Right.
I'm just
So
saying I
what should
honestly
we-
don't have the answer for that because we don't really have like a watchdog system to regulate those kinds of interactions between men and women in this business. And until something like that is implemented, how do you really kind of monitor these kinds of interactions? How do you quantify them? It's really tough for
Yeah.
everybody involved,
Yeah.
and even men face sexual exploitation as
Yeah.
well. It's not just
I was
women;
gonna
like
say
it's
that,
across
yeah.
the board that it's happening. I think one of the things we need to do as artists is we need to support each other and speak up about these incidences, and that's part of why it continues because the predators feel like they have the freedom to do it because they're never called out on their behavior. And I think if artists decided to get together and support one another in that way and kind of like call it out when you experience it, call it out when you see it. If there's some level of repercussion, then we might see some change in that area. But as long as people keep it to themselves and they're too shy to speak up or too intimidated, then that behavior will continue.
Okay, so we'll be going for a quick commercial break. And in case you just tuned in, we are talking about women experience in showbiz, especially music. And we have Christina Carmel, who is a media personality and a music marketer, as well as Lassie, who is an artist, humanitarian, and an entrepreneur. And they've been sharing a lot of experience in what the problem on the ground is. Now, after the break, I want us to touch on our numbers. As in female artists in Ghana, our numbers. We've already stated that if you want to be successful, you have to explore the outside markets. But our numbers, how many female artists are willing to take that chance? And also the business aspect. Is it that the female artists just leave everything to the managers, their team, or they themselves as artists understand the business aspects of this whole show business? Because it's show and business. You just can't concentrate on the show, and then leave the business. Do the female artists understand it? So after the break, we'll touch on this before we wrap up on the show. It's still Entertainment Review with me, myself, Nanaya Tanobache, and Helen Anyueja, a.k.a. Helen K. We'll be back with Welcome back. It's still Entertainment TV live on Metro Television, and we are having interesting conversations on the table of life. We've already spoken about a lot of things, but what I wanted to touch on is just the business aspect and the numbers. Our numbers, are they... the female artists in Ghana. Right now, we have Jackie and Amare on the forefront. The others... What do we do? How can they also move to that particular space? Should they be thinking Ghana, 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 or move out? Who should I start with?
I'll start.
Okay.
That one girl, Wendy Shay.
Yes.
That's her name, right?
Yes.
I like her. I thought she was making a lot of noise out
Yeah.
here. I don't know what happened in
Yeah.
particular, but I know she wasn't even living in Ghana. She came from Europe and then
Yeah.
she came here. So I'm sure she must have it in her mind that she wants to expand since she even came from abroad.
Yeah.
You know? So, but in terms of some of the other girls like Eno, Baroni, and Frida Rhymes, I don't see them making those kind of moves. And I'm wondering if it's their management or it's just a budget thing or what it is exactly, because Eno's been out for quite a few years now and I haven't really noticed. And Sister Ifia as well. Yes. She's another one who's really good, but I really haven't seen that crossover. So I don't know if it's something with their teams or something internally, but I feel like these girls must want to do that. They must want to travel, and because as a musician, as an artist, you want the world to hear what you have to say. And so that's always going to be kind of a part of, you know, the plan to tour and to meet fans internationally and all of that. So I don't know why those steps aren't being taken, but I wouldn't assume it's because they don't want to.
Okay. Christina, you have been in, I said, 3 industries: the UK industry, the Nigerian industry, now the Ghanaian industry. If an artist wants to make an effort, especially a female artist, wants to extend her market, what should be the way forward? What should be the first step? Even, like you said, it could be management, but personally, they want to thrive. So if they want to, what is the first thing they have to do?
I would say from the very ground, have a song or a single that translates overseas. So that's the first thing. So then you have the product. And then you need to be able to have the right team and look at your team, look at everybody's strengths and see where the cracks are. Because the thing is, and I've explained this to multiple people and multiple, especially labels in this country, you need to have distribution in different corners of the world. Distribution is to distribute that particular product in different corners of the world so that that particular sound can spread. Now you need to be able to find these distribution people. There are people, you need to be able to pay those people. It is not free. So you need to then have a budget. So for me, it's about having the right team that makes sense and can pull those finances. Or if you don't have there are also ways to do things if you don't have money, but you have to get very smart and you have to get very creative. And you need to have a strong network.
Okay.
That is one of the biggest things. You need to have a very strong network. And then, you see, depending on how your team is moving, if your team are not moving a lot of the time the way you want to, if you had that strong network, you could get that distribution done on your own.
Yeah.
And I think that's the biggest thing. Once that distribution is hitting and you've got your music playing in different countries, you can draw in those streaming numbers. If you're smart enough to do that, then you can take that capital, jump on the plane, go to those and it's a whole system. But I think, again, it would be nice if you had the heads and the minds to be able to think like that for you. And if you don't,
I mean, I think we should have a part 2 of this conversation, because there are lots of things I feel we didn't touch on. The business part, the payments, the equal payments, headlining events. How can we also get the female, even if it's not only in Ghana, in Africa, how do we get female artists headlining bigger and like huge events? And also women supporting women. What is the problem? Is it the collaboration that we need? I mean, so we'll have a lot of, maybe a part 2, and we'll get the Lassie coming back to tell us a bit more about her artistic side, which she's already stated some. And also, every time Christina Camille comes into the studio, we get to get 1 or 2 things. You can check both of them out on social media as at Christina Camille as well as at the Lassie. So you just check them out. Okay, Helen, do you have any messages?
Now, I wish you to celebrate all the wonderful things that make you so special, not just on your special day, but every day. Have a wonderful day, Irina Krusiado from David, and a very good afternoon going out to Tricom Salon for my beautiful hair. You can contact them on TikTok and Instagram, Tricom Salon.
Okay, and not forgetting the Ignite Media League Cup that is happening on the 5th of August 2023 at the Adringano AstroTurf Park. Make sure you are part. Come support your favorite team, Chelsea, Portugal, PSG, all the teams, and it's sponsored by Game Power Games. All they are saying is dial *946# on all network and win some money. My name is Nanaya Tano Abuache, and I did this with Helen Anyweja, aka Helen K. And a big thank you to the 2 beautiful ladies that came to help with the conversation. Up next is News Flash. Enjoy the rest of our programs.